Hello, this is Malorian, this is the Orc Tactical Team, and what we're going to talk about today is the multi-list. So the idea of the multi-list is kind of like an expansion on building your list to beat something else. So of course, if I'm a person, let's look at 40k, and I know I'm going to be up against a tank heavy guard. Well, then also I'm going to make sure I have tons and tons of meltas, or if I know that I'm up against a real infantry heavy marine list, I'm going to go with lots of plasma to get past their armor and to get past any feel no pain they might have, that type of thing, right? We're building one list to beat the other. Now, of course, if I walk into a game and I say, hey, what do you have? Oh, you have that? Okay, let me make my list. It's very obvious what's going on. And so what some people will do is they actually kind of run a multi-list. And what they'll do is that inside their bag, they'll have multiple lists. So bringing this back to fantasy, they might have a really heavy magic defense army. They might have one that has no magic whatsoever, so that if they're going up against somebody, so like dwarves, well, okay, boom, I'll just switch over to this other list. If they might have a fast army in case you're up against shooting, and they might have a shooting army if you're up against some sort of slow combat army. And what they can do then is when they walk in and people start pulling out their models, they can just go like, oh, here's my list. And it totally looks legit because they just pulled this list out. Obviously must be the one that they had prepared and they're ready to go. Meanwhile, they had multiple lists. And this is something that can be very hard to control and to really stop. And you know, it's always good to look at situations from both sides, because it's not always a malicious intent behind this. For some people, it's not that, okay, I'm going to be sneaky and I'm going to try and make sure I have the best list to beat you. Some of them are even just thinking that, well, come on, if I took a whole bunch of points into magic defense and you're running dwarves, why would I do that? I'm just going into the game with a disadvantage. And I guess the big thing you have to understand here then from the other side of what would be for everybody else is that you need to be building your list to be countering everything, right? If you go into a tournament or anything like that, you can't do that, right? You can't just go and picking your different lists. So one way where this could be fair, looking at it, is let's say I know I'm going to be up against dwarves, and you know you're going to be up against ogres. So for my part, I'm not going to be taking any magic defense, and for the dwarf part, they're going to be making sure to take lots of war machines. That's fair. But the real thing that can get a problem to be with that part of it is that if you say, okay, I'm using this list, they say, all right, I'll use this list. And they say, oh no, I'm going to use this list then. Oh no, then I'll use this list. Of course, there's a counter to the counter to the counter to the counter. And really, what you really need then to understand or to get past this and make it fair for everybody is if you ever notice that somebody has a multi-list, you just need to go and just talk to them. First of all, that's the first thing to do, is just talk to these people and say, you know what, you're kind of ruining the atmosphere because this isn't fair to everyone. The next thing past this in a way that might make it even more fair if you don't want to confront them, you just want to do it the fairest way possible, is just say, okay, before we pull out our models, let's switch lists, you know, and just kind of pass them at the same time, and then you know exactly what you're getting into. And that's probably the fairest way to go about it. So just kind of a recap, just kind of know that this is kind of a trick that some of the more, like I said, malicious high-level players use just to try and get the advantage over others, and just to watch for it. And just the easiest way to make it go away is either just talk to them and make it go away in a friendly manner, or the other way is just swap lists before anybody takes out models, and then there's no way anybody can cheat. So there you have it, and hopefully you don't run into it. Thanks, bye.